Seismologists are scientists who study ways to measure earthquakes and their causes. Read to find out what scientists have learned. This is called earthquakes.
What takes place during an earthquake? Huge tremors shake the ground. Buildings sway back and forth. Highways crumble and bridges collapse. While it is true that major earthquakes do cause all this damage and more, you may be surprised to learn that not all earthquakes are so destructive. Scientists say several thousand earthquakes may be happening across the planet every day. However, the majority of them are so slight that we don't even realize what's happening. Measuring earthquakes. Seismograph. Scientists who study earthquakes measure how strong an earthquake is by using a device called a seismograph. A seismograph is attached to the ground when the ground and the seismograph shake. Scientists describe the seismographs measuring with numbers. Since the 1930s, they have used a system called the Richter scale. If an earthquake measures below 3.0 on the Richter, people usually can't feel it. Earthquakes over 5.0 on the scale can cause damage, while measurement of 7.0 is evidence of a major earthquake. A pen is attached to the seismograph, draws an image that shows the magnitude of an earthquake. What causes earthquakes? How and why do these earthquakes occur? Scientists has many different layers. Earth has many different layers. Its outermost layer is called the crust and is made up of huge sections called tectonic plates. Below the crust is another layer called the mantle, which is made up of soft rock. When tectonic plates push against each other, a huge amount of force or pressure builds up.
Okay, you can read the rest to yourself silently, Faith. Talk about what you learned in this book.
I learned that they use something called a Richter scale.
Yeah, Richter scale. Mm-hmm.
And a seismograph.
Okay. Can you tell me some other things or facts that you learned from that story?
I haven't figured out how to predict an earthquake.
What are you thinking about that?
They should.
And why would that be important to find out?
Because they can save, millions of lives.
How would that, by being able to predict them, how would that help them save millions of lives?
Well, they could warn them, to go leave. Now.
That would be important, wouldn't it? So why is it so hard for people to avoid the danger of earthquakes?
Because it can happen any time. 1 minute you're sitting down and then, boom, an earthquake happens.
It sounds pretty frightening. Okay. And what do scientists need to discover about earthquakes?
Could you repeat that again?
What do scientists need to discover about earthquakes?
If there are any signs, before an earthquake happens?
Yeah, okay. So signs beforehand. We talked a little bit about, you told me you learned about a Richter scale and a seismograph. What were some other things that you learned from this book?
Can I look in here?
Certainly.
A The scientist who studies earthquake is called a seismographic.
Okay, seismologist. Is there anything else you learned about earthquakes?
They can cause a lot of damage,
Okay.
but they also can just be like 1 minute you're sitting down and then it happens and you don't even feel it.
Did you learn what causes earthquakes?
When tectonic plates like go like this,
Okay, so what are you showing me with that? What do they do?
They crash. Oh wait, no, that's how volcanoes are formed. When tectonic plates hit each other, and then it makes a fault line. And when that fault line moves, big earthquake.
Okay, so fault lines in there. All righty, let's take a look in the book, okay? The book, can you tell me about the different sections in the book? Could you describe the sections of that book?
Well, measuring earthquakes is one section.
Okay.
It describes all the different tools. And then what causes earthquakes describes how earthquakes happen, obviously. Some famous earthquakes. That is some earthquakes that happen in California and San
Francisco. There you got it. Okay, so famous earthquakes.
And then can scientists predict earthquakes? I'm telling you they can't.
Okay, so you learned quite a bit in there. What are some of the descriptive words or phrases that the writer used to show the impact of an earthquake?
Well,
Can you think of some of those?
tremors.
Tremors, okay. Can you think of some phrases that were in there?
Buildings sway back and highways crumble and bridges collapse.
Okay. You learned a lot about earthquakes from that one book, didn't you?